Welcome to Entrepreneurial Stories number 3. The title of the vlog is called Catching the Rising Tide. Let me give you the story. Many years ago, I was in a business totally unrelated to technology. It was import-export, hybrid bacteria, water purification, yada, yada, yada. So I was in this business, and it was a couple of years old at this point. I guess about 2-3 years old. I forget the exact number. And I learned HTML, this was back in '94, to build a website for the business. And at that time, being an HTML coder was a very rare skill set. You got to understand, the web at that time was so young that people were considering the possibility that the web might become a commercial place, believe it or not. Most websites at the time were websites hosted by universities and schools, and the academics would just exchange information, just to give you context. So I built my website for my business, and then I was approached, I don't know how, by some law firm that had offices in Canada, US, and Europe. And they wanted to build a website because they saw the advantage of having a website. You gotta remember, very few companies at this time had it. So they approached me, and my business was growing, but it was still quite small and young. And they said, hey, you want to build this for us? Blah, 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 we'll pay you. So I said, okay, well, no, so I'll do it. Make some extra money, et cetera, et cetera. So I built the website, and then they approached me and said, listen, this is a great new technology, and we deal with legal firms all over the world. So we're going to be able to hook you up with all these legal firms. So you should build a site and pursue this. So I hit a crossroads here, not a crossroads, fork in the road. I had two choices here. I could continue with my current business, which was in an older industry that had reached its plateau and was actually slowly in decline, but the business was established and growing. Or the other option was to pursue this new business in an industry that was brand new, wide open, lots of opportunity. Now, looking back, I go, oh, what did I do? I stuck to the business that was already established, making me money, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I didn't understand the concept of the rising tide. I didn't understand the concept of maturity of industries and how you should rather catch the wave of a growing sector, a growing market, and you should get out of markets that are in decline and dying. So at that time, the industry that I was in was slowly dying off. There's a lot of competition, a lot of players are in the marketplace. Everybody was established, so I was getting in there trying to basically claw my way in to grab shelf space, literally, from established players. Whereas in the web game at that time, it was so wide open. It was just like a hot knife through butter to get in there. But I didn't understand that idea, again, of the rising tide. So the lesson derived from this story, my screw up, is that you should look to industries, look to market segments or markets, whether it be markets, whether it be geographical areas, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, where you see growth, And it can be found in all kinds of different areas. So in the web, the money going forward, the big money, if I was to start over, is in AI-related machine learning. That's where the money is. Now, the thing about that, right now it's the domain of the big players, the Google's the leader, Microsoft, IBM. But maybe you could become an expert in all the options out there in AI, machine learning, so you can implement services from these big companies and implement them into your small, medium-sized clients' apps. They may be able to use, for instance, IBM's, I think it's called Watson, where you pay for requests and Watson can answer questions. You might be able to inject that into your client's app. Again, that's just a suggestion. You would have to look into it. Another option would maybe to look into niches that are now unsupported, even though, or not supported enough, even though these technologies have been around for a while. So I'll give you an example. A classic example I use is PHP WordPress development. These two technologies are like the red-headed stepchildren of the development world. People don't like WordPress, developers don't. People don't like PHP, developers don't. Even though they're so widely used, it's incredible how widely used they are. I've talked about that. So therein lies an opportunity for a freelancer, because so many small businesses depend on PHP and WordPress, Drupal and Joomla. These are all content management systems. And they're all written with PHP. And since a lot of developers don't want to work in PHP, and a lot of developers don't want to work in WordPress, there's a strong potential that in this niche you can do really, really well servicing companies that have sites based on these technologies. In fact, I was talking to a CEO of somebody at Ottawa who works exclusively on a certain content management system, Drupal, and he says he can't keep up with the demand. Can't keep up with demand. Now, Drupal is far from being exciting, far from being new from most people's perspective. But again, therein lies the opportunity. Supply and demand, right? There's a big supply of Drupal and especially WordPress, PHP work because of all the small businesses that are dependent on those technologies. And there's less a supply of developers because all the new developers want to get into the new stuff like JavaScript, server-side coding, and AI, machine learning, anything but PHP, WordPress. To reiterate, look for a rising tide of markets, get out of dying markets, and look for niches as well. You have to be nimble in your choices in terms of what your career or your business pursuits will be. I hope you found this useful. Ciao.